No, yeah. Nola and...
We're live now.
Good evening and welcome to the November Mansfield Shire Council meeting. I'd like to welcome my fellow councillors and council officers and members of the public who have tuned in tonight. I'll now call on each council and ask them to confirm verbally that they can see all councillors and hear the proceedings. Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I can see all councillors and hear the proceedings.
Councillor Rabi.
I can see all councillors, council officers and hear the proceedings.
And Councillor Webb. I couldn't hear you, Councillor Webb. Can you try again? No, your sound's not coming through.
I can hear the proceedings and see all councillors and council officers. There we go.
Thank you. I'll now ask each councillor to confirm by raising their hand that they could hear and see each other. Thanks, councillors. Madam CEO, do we have any apologies for tonight's meeting?
Yes, we do. We have an apology from Councillor Sladden and apologies from Nola Cleland, Executive Manager, Community Health and Wellbeing.
Thanks, Madam CEO. I'll now read the statement of commitment and call on each councillor to confirm their commitment. As councillors of the Mansfield Shire, we are committed to ensuring our behaviour meets the standards set by the Mansfield Shire Councillor Code of Conduct and Councillor Charter. We will at all times faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in us by the community. Councillor Holcomb.
I confirm my commitment, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Rabi.
I confirm my commitment.
And Councillor Webb.
I confirm my commitment.
I'll now call on the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Rabi, to recite Council's acknowledgement of country.
Our meeting is being held on the lands of the Trungurong people and we wish to acknowledge them as the traditional custodians of the land that we're on. We'd like to pay our respects to the elders. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Rabi. Item 6 is disclosures of conflict of interest. Councillors, do we have any conflict of interest in relation to tonight's agenda? Councillor Holcomb.
No conflicts, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Rabi.
No conflicts, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Webb.
No conflicts regarding any agenda items tonight, Mr. Mayor.
And any council officers?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to declare a conflict in relation to agenda item 23.3, the 12-month performance review.
Thanks, Madam CEO. Item number 7 is the confirmation of minutes. Councillors, can I have a motion in relation to this? Councillor Webb.
Motion being that the minutes of the Mansfield Shire Council meeting held on 17th of October 2023 and 31st of October 2023 be confirmed as an accurate record.
Thanks, Councillor Webb. Seconder, Councillor Rabi. All those in favour of the motion? That motion is carried. Item number 8 is representations. We have one representation tonight, and that will be to item 18.2.2, and that's from Miss Karen Perry. Item number 10 is the Mayor's report. Could I have a motion in relation to that, please? Councillor Rabi.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that Council receive the Mayor's report for the period of 18th of October 2023 to the 22nd of November 2023.
Seconder, Councillor Holcomb. All those in favour of that motion? That
Mr.
motion is carried.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I just say something regarding that report? Speak to the motion.
Certainly you can, Councillor Holcomb.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to bring up within the CEO's sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm jumping the gun.
Oh, Councillor Holcomb, I thought you were going to correct me on the Mayor's report.
I was
looking with interest to see what it was going to be, but anyway.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
That's fine. No problems.
Item
Item number. Good to see you keen. Councillor Ravi.
Well, I would like to make some comment, Mr. Mayor, because I think that this is one of your outstanding reports, and it was written like a statesman-like report. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Ravi. Taken me a while to get to that level. Just 2 years. All right. We'll move along. Item 11, reports from council appointed representatives. The first one is the Australia Day Awards Committee, which has met, and which met yesterday, actually, in fact, and the voting for those awards has been done, and it was good to see a good lot of nominations come in for the Australia Day Awards. So we really look forward to the next stage of that, which is the event on Australia Day at the Botanic Park, where those nominees will be announced. The winners will be announced. The next committee is the Mansfield Shire CEO Employment Matters Committee, which has met recently, and the report from that meeting will be tabled later in the confidential section of the agenda. The Goulburn Murray Client Alliance. Councillor Webb, you have a report?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. We did meet last week on Thursday, and it was our annual general meeting to which our annual report was presented. I'll read a few points from the annual report as chair, which I put together. This year was probably one of the more unprecedented for the GMCA members, which comprises of a number of regional councils and other government bodies. We did experience significant flooding due to our third consecutive year of La Nina. And of course, we have forecast record drought and bushfire danger coming, which really reminds us of the important work that we do as the organisation to build resilience of our member councils. This year, the GMCA had one of its most productive and impactful. Particularly, and full credit for that is due to our executive officer, Carol, who has really been driving change within the organisation and accomplishes an enormous amount of work for the amount of time that she has. One of our key projects being the Sustainable Subdivisions Shared Resource. We received government funding last year to run this trial project, and we've received further funding to extend it for another 12 months. The GMCA commenced environmental asset vulnerability assessments with 11 participating councils, which we received $200,000 in funding from EMV. We also attended the Victorian Greenhouse Alliance conference. So this is a regional conference for Victoria where all of the Greenhouse Alliances attend, over 300 attendees over 2 days. The topics included things like getting off gas, rural and regional industry transitions, tackling business emissions, carbon offsetting, land use planning, embedding climate change in council plans, and the intersection of climate and health. The GMCA was also responsible for comment and advocacy on a number of state and federal initiatives. And we find that as a organisation, the comments that we make carry a fair bit of weight, and we are often asked to elaborate on some of our points to add into federal and state policy. Additionally, we were successful in winning funding for 6 members, including Mansfield Shire, for the Neighbourhood Battery Initiative, designed to fund pilots, trials and demonstrations of small-scale neighbourhood batteries, and to see its viability for larger rollout. That's about it from me, Mr. Mayor. I have, as of the last general meeting, I've stood down as chair from the GMCA, and Councillor Sam Spinks from Shepparton has taken up that role, and I'm quite excited for her to step into that role. But moving forward, I certainly hope to be part of the group going forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Webb. Councillor Holcomb.
Yeah, could I just ask a question of James there, Councillor Webb? You mentioned the annual report,
Yeah.
the financials. Do we see a copy of that?
Because the group is auspiced under Murrumbidgee Shire, their financials fall under the reporting for Murrumbidgee Shire, but I can find a copy and circulate for it if you wish.
Yeah, I think it'd be worthwhile. I mean, we contribute funds, so we should have a good understanding of where those funds are going. So yeah, I'd certainly be interested in having a look at it.
Happy to
Thank you.
circulate it around to the councillors.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Webb, for that report. The next one is the Mansfield Shire Council Audit and Risk Committee. Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we met yesterday for the November meeting. A couple of points that came out of that. Peter Johnson, who's the independent chairperson for the Audit Risk Committee, was re-elected unopposed for another 12-month term, and that is a welcome move, and we thank Peter for doing that. It's he's ideal for that role. So it's great to see him take up another 12 months in that position. We received a presentation on capital works by the capital works team, which was extremely interesting in terms of carryovers, etc. So that was well done by them. And we also had a paper which was a report on the status of council's loan borrowings, and that was tabled. And that was particularly interesting to me anyway, in terms of the amount of borrowings we have in our capacity to borrow down the track if we need to do so. And the view from the independent members of the audit committee and our internal auditor was that our borrowings are extremely conservative, or very conservative. So that was also good to know from us as a council as we move forward. And it shows that there's been a good result in terms of how our money, ratepayer money, is being managed. We also received Vago's closing report and their final management letter that was tabled. And the Vago report noted a satisfactory performance based on the review of the key focus areas of the audit. And that there were no material changes to the annual financial report and the performance report for 2023 that was tabled initially on October 27. So in line with that report, there'll be a recommendation coming to council, I think, early next week to accept that. And I'd also like to acknowledge the work done by the General Manager of Business Performance, Julie Williams, in doing this. It has been quite a stressful time, I understand, particularly because of resource issues and timing issues and a whole of other issues. Really well done on getting that through, and the fact that we have no material changes to what was presented in October 27 is a credit to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. The next committee is the Rural Councils Victoria, which I have a report on from the AGM, the online AGM, which is on the 6th of October, but hasn't been reported on till now. There was much debate about the increase in membership fees, the background to that being that the state government don't provide any funding now to Rural Councils Victoria, whereas originally they put in $3 million. So for rural councils to be sustainable, they recommended an increase of annual membership from $4,000 to $5,000, which was passed at the meeting. The also up for debate was the length of the council term, and the councillor terms in our CV are currently 4 years. It was proposed they go to 2 years. There was much debate about that, but in the end the motion was lost, so they'll stay at 4 years. And then there was a housing presentation after that by the Moyne CEO, Brett Davis. And that's about the extent of that. Councillors, can I have a recommendation that the reports in council appointed representatives are Councillor Rabi? You're on mute, Steve.
Yeah. I'd like to move that council note the verbal reports provided by councillors in relation to their representation on external committees.
Thanks, Councillor Rabi. A seconder. Councillor Holcomb. All those in favour of the motion? That motion is carried. I'd now like to hand over to Madam CEO, who's going to act as the acting chairperson for until the election of the next mayor. Madam CEO.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. In accordance with Section 61 of the Local Government Act 2020 and the Mansfield Shire Council Governance Rules, as the Chief Executive Officer, I'll act as chairperson until the election of the mayor is concluded. I'd like to start by giving the opportunity to Mayor Tehan to address council.
Thanks, Madam CEO. And look, I have sort of covered most stuff in the mayor's report, but I'd just like to say that the last 2 years has been a very challenging 2 years, but it's also been very rewarding. And I'd like to thank all my fellow councillors and the council officers who have given me plenty of support in this role. I think we've seen the Shire come a long way in the last 2 years, particularly in terms of the workforce progress. I think since COVID, which was very disruptive, obviously, we've seen a much more settled and cohesive workforce, which is really good to see. So I know we still have a couple of positions to fill, but generally it's looking really good. I think our financial progress has been fantastic too. I think on the given the fact that we've only put rates up by an average of 1.7% over the last 3 years, and we've had a high running inflation of 7%, we've been able to go to the organisation and they've been able to find cost savings, which has been really good. It keeps our balance sheet and it keeps our profit and loss very respectable. So we've had a good annual surplus and we've been able to achieve good infrastructure projects along the way. So I'm very proud of that progress that we've made. I think one of the standout things for me has been the communication and consultation that we've been able to get out to the general public. I know in the past it's been very hard to get information, but I really admire the administration and the way they've gone about that work in informing the public of all the major decisions that we've made as a council, and also not shying away from the decisions or the things that we haven't done right as well too. So it's been easy when information has been forthcoming as a mayor to be able to go out and have confidence in informing the public of where we're going. I think that's about it. I'd just really like to thank my EA, Chelsea Young, who I know is listening in. She's done an absolutely fabulous job. She's any time of the day, even weekends, I've sent her texts and messages and she's been great to respond. So I know she came in new to the job as well too. So thanks very much, Chelsea. Well done. And your support's been invaluable. Probably just like to thank my family and wife, Sarah, for their support during this 2-year period. It's been fairly hectic at times and challenging, so they've had to put up with a bit. But yeah, I thank them for their support, and I really look forward to working with the new mayor when he's elected shortly. So thanks, Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been a pleasure working with you too. Thank you. I'd like to provide the opportunity for any councillor to respond to Mayor Tian's words there. Councillor Holcomb?
Thanks, Madam CEO. Councillor Tian, Mayor Tian, James Tian, whichever title. I'd just like to congratulate you, James. That was you've done an extraordinary and an outstanding job over the last 2 years. We're a far better council for your leadership, your work ethic, and your integrity. A credit both to yourself and set a real standard for us as councillors to follow. So, and I think you've shown terrific leadership both internally within the council, within the group of councillors, within the council, and with the community. So your leadership internally and externally has been absolutely outstanding. So, and it's been a pleasure working with you. But thank you and well done.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Councillor.
Is anyone else? Councillor Rabi?
I can't, James, I can't do one better than Councillor Holcomb. He said everything that I was thinking, and I know how hard you worked, very, very hard in the last couple of years. So I thank you deeply, and as your deputy, I've learned a lot from you, and I really thank you for passing on that knowledge, James. So thanks very much, Madam CEO.
Thanks, Councillor Rabi. If there's no further comments, we'll move on to determination of the mayoral term. Under the Local Government Act 2020, before a mayor is elected, the council must determine by a resolution whether the mayor is to be elected for 1 year or a 2-year term. In this case, as the local government elections are scheduled for the 26th of October 2024, the Mansfield Shire mayoral term must expire on that date. I now ask councillors for a motion in relation to the mayoral term as recommended in item 14 on page 11 of your agenda. Councillor Holcomb?
Thanks, Madam CEO. The recommendation is the council determine the mayoral term will end at 6 a.m. 26th of October 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Holcomb. And do we have a seconder for that? So, I think Mayor Tian, were you first? Second, any?
Yep, that's I'll second that motion.
And anyone against the motion? No. Anyone wanting to speak to it? No. All in favour then. And the motion is carried. Thank you. So we'll move on to item 15, election of the mayor. In accordance with the Mansfield Shire governance rules, I'll facilitate the election of the mayor in accordance with the provisions of the Act. The election of the mayor will be carried out by a show of hands. I have received the following nomination for mayor, that being a nomination from Councillor Tian, Mayor Tian, as nominating Councillor Rabi for mayor. Councillor Rabi, do you accept the nomination for the role of mayor?
I do, Madam CEO.
Thank you. Councillors, the recommendations before you, and may I please have a motion that Councillor Rabi be appointed to the role of Mayor of Mansfield Shire. Councillor Tian, and do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Holcomb, thank you. Do I have anyone wanting to speak to that? For or against? No.
Would you like me to read out the motion, Madam CEO?
Yeah, that would be great, Councillor Tian.
The motion is that pursuant to the provisions of section 25 and 26 of the Local Government Act 2020, the council appoint Councillor Rabi as Mayor of Mansfield Shire for a term ending at 6 a.m. on the 26th of October 2024, no later than the scheduled meeting of the 28th of November 2023.
Thanks, councillor Tehan. We have a motion. It's been seconded. Is anyone wanting to speak to the motion? No. All in favour? The motion is carried. And Councillor Ravi is duly elected as Mayor of Mansfield Shire Council for the term ending 6 a.m. 26th of October. Congratulations, Mayor Ravi. And would you like to address the meeting and assume the chair from this point on?
Thank you, Madam CEO, and thank you, fellow councillors, for putting your trust in me to lead the Shire into 2024. As the Mayor, it's indeed a privilege and an honour. I'd like to congratulate our two previous mayors in the current council, namely Councillor Holcomb and Councillor Tehan, who've done an outstanding job. You've set the course for council prosperity very well indeed. I will continue to keep the Shire on its current course of being financially responsible in the management of our ratepayers' money. Some of the challenges and projects I see ahead, not limited to, but some of them are, continued support of the Historical Society to complete their museum, the completion of the alternative truck route, lobbying for our Mansfield Emergency Services Hub, new childcare facilities to keep up with our growing population, construction works in Highton Lane, Rifle Butts Road, and our new car park in the High Street. Continue to protect and preserve our rural amenity. Show that Mansfield is open for business and continue to listen to our community. I'll be able to exert all my attention to the position of Mayor with the ongoing and continued support from my wonderful wife, Tamara, along with our family. Again, thank you, fellow councillors, for your support for this coming year, and I look forward to working with you all as our CEO, Kirsten Alexander, and all the staff for the coming year to make this Shire the best little Shire in Victoria. Thanks again. Okay, on with business. It's up to agenda item 16, the election of Deputy Mayor. In accordance with the Mansfield Shire Governance rules, the election of Deputy Mayor will be carried out by a show of hands. I'll now conduct the election process and call for nominations for the role of Deputy Mayor of Mansfield Shire, and the CEO has received the following nomination for Deputy Mayor. I, Councillor Raby, nominated Councillor Holcomb, and that was seconded by Councillor Tehan. Councillor Holcomb, do you accept the nomination for the role of Deputy Mayor?
I do, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillors, the recommendation is before you on page 16 of your agenda. May I have a motion that Councillor Holcomb be appointed to the role of Deputy Mayor of Mansfield Shire, please? Councillor Tehan.
Thanks, Mayor Raby. I'd like to move that Council appoints Councillor Holcomb as Deputy Mayor of the Mansfield Shire for term ending 6 a.m. on the 26th of October 2024, no later than the scheduled meeting of 28th of November 2023.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Webb. Does anyone want to speak for or against the motion? In that case, I'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? And the motion is carried. Councillor Holcomb, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look forward to it.
Thank you. Item 17 is public question time, and I take it that we have no public questions tonight. Agenda item 18, the officer reports, and 18.1, the Chief Executive Officer's report is before you. The responsible officer is the Chief Executive Officer, Kirsten Alexander. Got any questions? Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It's more a comment. I'd just like to bring to attention a couple of points that stood out to me in the report. One of which was some exceptional work being done through the organisation. One of which is the landfill diversion that's occurring now through our waste recovery centre. It reached 32.05%, which as far as I'm aware is a record amount of diversion, and it's been on an upward trend over the last few months, which augurs well, being that as we go through this POGO transition as well. So I'd just like to acknowledge the work done out there. That's a big turnaround from what it used to be, and congratulations to the team behind all that. So it's great to see results like that. And a similar result happened reading the CEO's report through the amount of grading that had been done in our Shire over the last month. There was a 52% increase over prior year, which equates to 150 kilometres extra graded within our Shire. And that also is a great result, a credit to the team involved. And it's not only the volume of work that's been done there in terms of 150 Ks, it's the quality of the work as well. And for those of us who drive daily on dirt roads, we really do see the benefits of the work being done by the team. So thanks for highlighting that in your report, Madam CEO, and well done.
We've got any other questions for the CEO about her report? In that case, councillors, have we got a motion? Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The Council received and note the Chief Executive Officer's report for the period 17th of October 2023 to 15th of November 2023.
And a seconder, Councillor Webb. Does anyone want to speak to the motion? And in that case, we will vote on the motion. All in favour of the motion? Thank you. The motion has been passed. Item 18.2.1, the Planning Scheme Amendment C57 Mansfield Additional Resolution of Council, and the responsible officer is Mr. Oscar Yenkin. Hello, Oscar. Welcome to our meeting.
Good evening, everybody. Congratulations.
Yep, thanks very much. Councillors, have we got any questions to Mr. Yenkin on the on 18.2.1? Councillor Webb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a point of clarification, Mr. Yankin, and just to confirm I understand it correctly, this is all in line with previous motions that we've made before in council. We're just changing some wording. Is that sort of the intention behind this?
That's correct. At the request of the Department of Transport and Planning, they wanted to see some additional detail in regard to the calculations for the open space provision as part of this amendment, which we've now provided, and they have requested an additional motion of council. We're happy to provide that because we want to get the amendment through as soon as we can.
So there's no material changes to the idea or the motions. It's just providing a little bit of extra detail so we can get this underway.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Holcomb.
So Yankin, just as a follow-up to Councillor Webb's question, it's that's the area that really interests me is the contributions. Are they happy now with how the contributions have been calculated?
They've indicated that they are happy with it. I will be fully transparent and say that the Department of Transport and Planning have in the past made promises and gone against them. It's just the way of it. When they get down to the detail, some things do pop up. I'm confident, though, that when that happens, or if it happens, we will be able to push back on it and get that amendment moving.
And would those contributions that we're after be much different to other councils? It's similar to us, similar councils to our own? Very
much in line with a lot of other councils. Something that is slightly different to those is that we do not have a blanket contribution. We have a sliding scale, which is something that has been used in the past, and we are using it to actually recognise and be consistent with the form of development. It doesn't seem reasonable to impose a 7.5% contribution on someone who is doing a 2-lot subdivision or similar. And that's the logic that's imposed.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? There's a recommendation before us. Oh, Councillor Hogg.
Sorry. Can you just tell me what the time frame is then now in terms of the can you just spell out the timing with what happens after the review and the engagement period we have to go through by the sound of it?
Yep. So once we submit this to the to the authority for DTP, they'll go through and review it. They do have a time frame of 2 months to make a decision. There have been a couple of issues in the past where that has not been the case, that it has got back to us. Just for a point of clarity, we have 3 amendments that have been sat with them for quite a while, and one they have not gazetted, and it has been over a year. So although there are timeframes set, we have to continually lobby with them and talk to them to get them done. So in theory, it would be 6 months to complete the entire amendment. We currently have it to be done by the end of this financial year.
And then once that's ratified by the government, that's it?
Correct.
Great. Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? In that case, there's a recommendation before you, Councillor Webb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Motion being that Council number 1 request under Section 8A, number 2 and number 3 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, the Act, that the Minister for Planning authorise Mansfield Shire Council to prepare Amendment C57 MANS to the Mansfield Planning Scheme. 2, notify the Minister of Planning that when it exhibits Amendment C57 MANS, Mansfield Shire Council intends to give full notification of the amendment under Section 19 of the Act for a minimum statutory exhibition period of 1 month. When authorised by the Planning Minister, exhibit Amendment C57 MANS to the Mansfield Planning Scheme under Section 19 of the Act.
Thanks, Councillor Webb. A seconder for the motion. Councillor Holcomb. Does anyone want to speak to the motion? In that case, we'll vote on the motion. Put forward. All those in favour? And the motion is carried. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Yankin, for coming in. Next item on the agenda, 18.2.2, which is the Mansfield Police Stables lease agreement. We do have a deputation tonight. The responsible officer is Maya Valvonaro. Good evening, Maya. How are you?
Good evening, everyone, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
May, we do have a deputation tonight by Ms. Karen Perry.
Right.
Karen, are you there? Can you come in, please?
Snap. I am here.
Oh, Karen,
not sure how to. Oh,
welcome.
there you go.
We can see you and we
Thank
can hear you.
Thank you.
Karen, welcome to our November meeting, and thanks for coming in to do a deputation on the police stables. You have only 3 minutes for your deputation, and I will time you. So you can go ahead anytime you like.
All right, then. Well, congratulations too. Hello, Mayor. It's Maya. Saw you yesterday. Look, I just wanted to say before you vote on it, we're really happy with the lease as it stands. And I just wrote some things down so that I don't want to miss anything out. So if it sounds like I'm reading it, it's true. I am. But Mad Potters is really, really excited to be working alongside council for this project. The old police stables still require power to be connected and a water supply inside before we can operate as planned. But with infrastructure funding available to LGAs and our own local resources, we will be able to kickstart this project. It'll be fantastic. And we'd like to thank those people within council who have worked on the report going to this meeting today. In particular, Kirsten Alexander, Maya Belvanova, Kim Colleen and Des Dunn. They've been really helpful to our group explaining council processes around taking on a lease, and we feel very confident that this project has a shared vision for the community. We've had terrific support from council regarding our inaugural Mansfield Pottery Festival this year, thanks to Claire Berghofer and Gareth McDonald. We look forward to our continued working relationship with the community development team. And I'd also like to thank Councillor Holcomb for his kind encouragement of our group, the festival, and now the Community Pottery Studio, and the opportunities it will give to support our community cohesion, mental health, and creative happiness. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. 1 minute and 32. Very well done.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming in. We'll probably put you into the holding room, but you can keep watching our council meeting.
Just a question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, some questions.
Yeah, for sure. Councillor Holcomb has a question, Karen.
And thanks, Karen, for your kind words. Just a couple of questions. Can you give us a bit of background on how many people are members of the pottery group that you represent? So roughly how many people are using?
Sure.
And how do you plan?
Yeah, sure.
How do you plan to use it? How do you plan to run this facility?
Well, the EOI that we put in for, plan to run it. We imagine that we will run it like a men's shed, if you like. So it's open regularly during the week. So people can, members can come and use the facilities, the equipment that we will run from there. And it's basically pottery. That's what we'll be doing. And there's lots of different ways you can work with clay. At the moment, the membership, we've only just had our first AGM. So physical membership is relatively low because we haven't started promoting that yet, and we didn't really have anything to offer them until we've got a studio going. But what we started during COVID was a Facebook group. We were encouraged to do that by the state government, do what you can. And we started connecting with people and getting Facebook members, and we have well over 100 people, and that happened relatively quickly. And then when we decided at our AGM that our focus, or even before the AGM, that our focus was going to be to start a festival, and hopefully we would have a pottery studio. The two things would work with each other: place to make and a place to sell, place to make friends, and a place to connect with other people around Victoria, and potentially now even into New South Wales. We have people coming through to be part of the festival. So our social media is really the way we communicate mostly, and that very quickly grew in a few weeks we've almost got 800 people now on Instagram who are following us, and they're not just people who we've liked and they've liked back. They're actually active potters who are interested in the festival, make comments on posts that we put up. So we feel that we are reaching right into the Melbourne pottery market. That's the big place, and also regionally, and that proved itself in the festival when we had people coming from as far as Warrnambool, down on the peninsula to Mansfield, and the feedback we got from that, not anecdotal, actually written feedback, was that it is one of the best festivals or pottery related events that they've been to, and these people are, you know, they've been in the game for 30 or 40 years, so we're pretty happy with that feedback. But we think that when we get the studio, that will draw a whole lot of people out of the woodwork to actually come and get their hands in the clay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Is any other councillors got any questions for Karen? In that case, I apologise, Karen. I didn't realise it's my first meeting, and I didn't realise that I could have questions directed at you. But if my apologies, yeah. So if you go back into the guest room, and we'll continue with our meeting on this agenda item. Thanks for coming along again.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. It's really good to be able to speak to the people that make it happen, really. We hope that you vote for it to happen. We really, really love the building. It's a beautiful historic building. We're very interested in the history of it. We're a low kind of impact group. We think it'll be just a lovely place for people to come and make friends and either do something they haven't done for many years and kick back into it, or people that are brand new, have never done it before. We're looking forward to meeting lots of new people and making lots of new friends.
Again, thanks for coming along.
Thank you.
Okay, councillors, I have before us a recommendation on this agenda item. We've got a motion for it. Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Motion is that point one, the council approve the proposed lease of the Mansfield Police Stables located at 5 Career Street, Mansfield Lot 2 and Plan of Subdivision 339723, Mansfield District Potters Incorporated for a period of 5 years, with one further term of 5 years for the permitted community use associated with the Mansfield and District Potters Incorporated. Point two, sets annual lease payment at $1 per annum plus outgoings. 3, provides public notification of the intention to enter a peppercorn lease agreement on the above-mentioned land. And 4, authorises the CEO to execute the lease agreement on completion of the public notification process.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. If I get a seconder, Councillor Tehan. Does anyone want to speak to this motion? Or anyone against? Oh, Councillor Tehan.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to the motion. I'd like to congratulate Karen and her group on a really good initiative, which was set up during a really difficult time. I think the police stables have been sitting there dormant for a long time, and well done to the Shire Council for seizing on that opportunity once Deaker had got a grant and done it up. And it's a great location. So congratulations to everyone involved in that, but particularly to the Potters group. And hopefully they can do something to restore the old mobile jail that's out the front there that rumours are that Ned Kelly spent a night in it. So it's in disrepair, but it's a great piece of history, as are the stables. So look forward to seeing the work that they're going to do, plus all the work they're going to do on the building itself. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor T. And anybody else like to speak to the motion or against the motion? In that case...
Sorry, Councillor, I'd just like to endorse Councillor Tehan's comments as well. But also just to say, they're a group with a lot of energy and a lot of vision. And I think what they've done with the Pottery Festival is outstanding. And it's that drive, energy and vision that I think makes this project really quite exciting.
Okay. In that case, put the motion to a vote. All in favour? And the motion is carried. Good to see the Potters go in there. item 18.2.6, the Mansfield Athletics Association licence agreement, and the responsible officer is Maya again. Thanks for staying on.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, that one is not on the agenda. It's the station precinct fertiliser shed lease.
Oh, sorry.
That right?
Got the printed agenda here. It's
I think the item was pulled.
that item was pulled, was it? Yeah. Okay,
That's-
my apologies.
We're sorry, Mr. Mayor. We're still in discussions with the athletics.
Yeah. Understood. Yeah, my fault. I didn't take that page out of the printed agenda. All right, we'll get on to 18.2.6 then. Is that the correct number? Yep. Station precinct fertiliser shed, peppercorn lease agreement, but it's still Ms. Belvanova. So thanks for staying in. Councillors, have we got any questions to Ms. Belvanova, please, on that agenda item? Councillor Tehan. Councillor Holcomb. Sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a question, Ms. Belvanova. Can you just confirm that there's no cost issues associated with this motion that's before us, or this recommendation that's before us, that they're going to come back on the Shire that you're aware of?
That's correct. Yeah, there will be no cost associated to a Mansfield Shire Council.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
We got any other questions, councillors? Okay, I have a motion or a recommendation in front of me. Does anyone want to, Councillor Tehan?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that Council 1 approves the proposed 10-year lease of the fertiliser shed at Station Precinct 173175 High Street, Mansfield, to the Mansfield Historical Society Incorporated for a period of 10 years, with one further term of 10 years commencing the 1st of December 2023 for the permitted community use associated with the Mansfield Historical Society. 2, sets the annual lease payment at $1 per annum plus outgoings. 3, provides public notification of the intention to enter a peppercorn lease agreement on the above mentioned land. And 4, authorises the Chief Executive Officer executing the lease agreement on completion of the public notification process.
Okay, have I got a seconder to the motion? And that's Councillor Holcomb. Councillor Tehan, you proposed a motion. Would you like to speak to that motion?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a great initiative by the Mansfield Historical Society to take this project on. They have had a lot of storage issues. In fact, I think they're still storing stuff in some council buildings at the moment. So it'll be a great facility to them to move in and out of the new museum once they get that up and running. So I commend them on looking at something which is historical and something that was probably in disrepair and may have fallen over. So they've done a fantastic job, and well done to them, and congratulate them on the lease of that facility.
Thanks, Councillor Tehan. Councillor Holcomb seconded the motion. Do you want to speak to the motion?
Nothing further to add.
Does any other councillor like to speak to the motion? In that case, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? And motion is carried. Thanks, Maya. I don't think there's any, again, in the agenda for you, is there? So thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Good night. 18.2 to 0.5 is the tree management plan and street tree policy. And the responsible officer is the Manager of Field Services, Ari Croxford Damasi.
Ari's just joining now. It's just taking a
Ari's
bit longer.
coming in? Okay,
Yes.
good. Good evening, Mr. Croxford Damasi.
Good evening, Councillor Robbie.
It's nice to see you. Yeah, we just got the agenda on 18.2.5, the tree management plan and street tree policy up before us now. And councillors, has anybody got any questions? Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mr. Croxford Damasi, just a question regarding the role of the arborist now. I think having he's well and truly employed with us now. Can you just tell me how many days a week is he working, and how does that all fit into what this policy is all about? What's his role in this policy?
Yep.
Or I assume he has a role in this policy.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So our arborist is working 4 days a fortnight. So typically Thursday, Friday each week, but there is flexibility if I need to pull him in for something that's more of an emergency or something that's popped up. There is grounds to complete that. He was involved in the development of this tree management plan and did help guide it. In particular, from the risk perspective, the tree management plan integrates a quantified tree risk assessment tool that we've actually completed training with himself and the asset inspector. So that actually allows us to have a quantitative tree risk assessment that we can do proactively and reactively. So I guess that even in the last probably 2 months since they've completed the training, we've seen a lot of that tool being used, and it is quite beneficial. And actually starting to complete counts and so on, so we can work out, our targets underneath some trees and our high populated areas for pedestrians and road users. So, they will definitely both complement each other, and it's good timing that we're putting the tree management plan forward as well. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Tian.
Mr. Damasi, I'm just wondering, the tree management plan and the street tree policy went out to our Engage platform, was advertised, and we had no external feedback. Given the level of interest in trees in this Shire, which we know exists, I was quite surprised there wasn't any feedback, and perhaps that represents that it's such a good policy that there was nothing else that needed to be included. Or have you got an explanation, or any idea of why that might be?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that I was quite surprised about it. We do get a lot of, I wouldn't say, how would you put it? We do get a lot of commentary about trees. We're definitely trying to go out for consultation on a lot of our tree actions recently. I guess that may have helped. People are, seeing that we're doing our best to act responsibly with them. It was surprising, but I think it is promising, and obviously there is opportunities to, morph the management plan as we deal with new arising issues. So I think we may, keep providing opportunities for the public to contribute, and I think it's a good reflection.
Okay, thanks. And just because I know there's another plan called Cool It is it Cooler Towns, which is a policy that has also gone out to the community recently, but it's more to do with in-town tree planting. Is that correct? And that's coming up fairly shortly, I think.
Yes, that's correct. So that will be coming up shortly. And yes, it does pick up on, I guess, emerging areas that we can complete plantings, that will obviously complement this as well. And it also includes, set species that we're trying to plant in line with the Goulburn Broken Catchment Management Authority, I think, or the Climate Alliance, sorry. So yeah, they will complement each other.
Thank you.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, I might just make one comment on that. One of the things we are trying to do with the consultation and the feedback we got from community is to come up with a longer term plan. So because obviously there's resources involved in both planting and maintaining and inspecting trees. Our NS team have been looking at those results to come up with that longer term plan, and we look forward to presenting that to council soon.
Yep, I've actually got a question, Ari, if you wouldn't mind. How does this align to what's known as grandfather trees, or trees that may exist European settlement here? Are they outside of this tree management plan, or will they be included within this?
Yeah, so I understand correctly, it would be related to the trees of significance that we address in the management plan. So there's obviously going to be a lot of consideration given to significant trees like that. And as our arborist completes inspections and takes these types of things into consideration, I think they'll get a lot more weight, being those trees of significance. So does that answer your question?
And
it does. Thank you.
May I add, Mr. Mayor, that the plan is about how we're managing trees on public land. So there is another body of work being done through our strategic planning program in relation to protection of those grandfather trees on private land. So looking at the different and most effective way to protect them beyond what we could do on public land as well. So they're two bodies of work, but certainly this one will have due consideration for ones on public land that we manage.
Thanks, Mr. Crane. Thanks, Mr. Damasi. So any other councillors got any questions? In that case, there is a recommendation before us. Does anybody want to move a motion? Councillor Webb.
Motion being that council endorse the updated street tree policy and tree management plan.
Thank you. And does anyone want to second that motion? Which is Councillor Holcomb. Councillor Webb, you've moved the motion. Do you want to talk to the motion?
No comment. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Holcomb, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, like I said, I think it's a really important motion. This is the trees. We can't get a better example of how good our trees are at the current time. We all we'll go down the main street, go wherever we go. Trees look fantastic, and they're an important part of the character of this town. So to look after them and manage them, and I really, and I think all the councillors endorse that appointment of the arborist. I think it's a great initiative it shows the concern that we as a council have for the environment that the trees create. So, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. Anybody else like to speak to or against the motion? In that case, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? And the motion is carried. Thanks, Mr. Damasi, for all your work. Thanks for coming in this evening. Before us, 18.2.6, the Emergency Resilience Policy Review. And the responsible officer is Jane Carter, Interim Coordinator, Governance and Risk. Jane's coming in, I think. Thought I saw her.
She has just dropped out. She's just logging back in now.
Okay. CEO, would you like to take over?
I was just going to say that, Mr. Mayor, through you, Mr. Mayor, I might ask if either myself or the General Manager of Business Performance could take any questions on this one that you have. Otherwise, yeah.
We are just getting Jane in now, actually.
Okay, yep. Hi, Jane. Welcome to the November meeting of Council. Got the newly elected Mayor, Steve Raby, here. So we've had a look at the 18.2.6 and has any councillors got any questions for Jane? No question? Yes? Councillor Tean.
Hi, Ms. Carter. Just a brief explanation as to why we're revoking the emergency resilience policy. It's not as if we're getting rid of it, is it? It's just, well, it's been duplicated.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, that's correct. It is duplicated in the emergency management framework, which was already adopted by council. So we're just streamlining the two policies together. We don't need the emergency resilience policy because all the points are highlighted within the emergency management framework.
Right, thank you.
Any other questions? There's a recommendation before us. Councillor Webb.
Motion being that council revokes the emergency resilience policy.
Thank you. Councillors, second. Councillor Holcomb. Any Councillor Webb? Councillor Webb, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, fairly procedural. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and Councillor Holcomb, would you like to?
Just very briefly, someone who sits on the Audit and Risk Committee and sees all the policies that this council has, to see your efforts here, Jane, in streamlining and simplification, that can only be good. Because there's so many policies there. Anything that's streamlined and anything that's simplified is a real bonus. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. Anyone else? In that case, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? And the motion is carried. Thank you. Agenda item 18.3.1, carry forwards from 2022 to 23, and the responsible officer is General Manager of Business and Economic Development, Julie Williams. I knew you'd get your turn, Julie. Thanks for any councillors would like to ask questions of Ms. Williams. Councillor Webb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Williams, just a quick question. Am I understanding that, so are these projects that were designed to be multi-year projects, or we weren't able to complete the work within the financial year?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. There's a combination of both there, Councillor Webb, but predominantly a lot of them, or the majority, are carried, especially the smaller amounts, are carried over from projects that were due to be completed last year. But there are some, so for example, in some of these projects, we didn't have approval to spend the grant money at the stage in last financial year. So they have carried over. So there's a number of reasons why these projects have carried over. Typically, there's no projects here there's no operating projects that were solely for this financial year, if that makes sense.
I'm just trying to understand in terms of our capital works or our budget, if this was intended or if this was always the plan, or this isn't a surprise to us.
So in terms of the operating programs, in terms of the operating projects that are here, these were not carried over in the budget. So we had not forecast when we prepared the budget and underspend on those projects and to carry this grant funding in. There are some projects here where the grant funding was received very late in the financial year, so the projects weren't due to commence until this year. But that's there's only a couple of those. In terms of the capital projects, we did carry over it. There was a significant amount of work that went on in the budget process for this financial year, and we did carry over significant funds where we had forecast projects that were carrying into this year. And you will see in the terms of the carryovers for capital, there's $377,000. That's a significant reduction in the amount that we carried over from the prior year due to the great work that the capital project team have done in their forecasting. And with the operating projects for coming up for this next budget, we'll look to try and do the same and really look at trying to forecast those a little bit more accurate, or try and forecast them as best we can so that we'll have fewer carryovers in the following year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's perfectly clear. Thanks. Thank you.
Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Williams, just say we don't approve this motion. What happens?
That's a really good question, Councillor Holcomb. So through you, Mr. Mayor. We would not have approved budget to continue with these projects. So the business would have to cease these projects. That would be a problem where the projects are contracted. They're naturally where they're contracted and committed. We've committed as an organisation contractually to complete those projects. In terms of the projects where there is the ability to pause them without financial disruption, it would mean that we would not be able to deliver the remainder of those programs. And the funds on the grant funds, they would have to go back to the party that provided us with the grant.
So one could term this as a bit of a no-brainer.
Particularly in relation to the contracted, because otherwise it would be a financial issue if we cancel those contracts.
Yeah. What did Vago have to say about? Did they have anything to say about any issues surrounding carryovers?
Vago's closing report has got some recommendations in relation to council's administration of the grants that we receive, and particularly from an accounting perspective. There are improvements that we can make around our acquittal and our reporting and recording of grants from an accounting perspective. And there was one grant, which was a $500,000 emergency incident support flood damage grant that they have highlighted that we should have recognised last financial year, rather than carrying it into this financial year. So they were the main points of concern.
Yeah. And the only area where it will show up for us is through the net surplus, or deficit.
And that's correct, Councillor Holcomb. So we will have $4.2 million of additional operating expenditure during the year, which is the carry forward amount that's not currently sitting in the budget. Offsetting that, we will have prepaid grant income, so grant funds that we've received that we're carrying on our balance sheet, but there will be a net deficit impact, so a negative impact on our surplus for the year of $1.3 million. assuming that these are spent to these amounts and the funding is accrued.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Councillors, any other questions to Ms. Williams? Councillors, have we got a motion? Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. The council approved carry forward funds from 2022-23 to the 2023-24 budget for the completion of the projects listed in this report, totaling $4,243,683 operating dollars, $928,028 net of the unrecognised prepaid grant income, and $377,448 in capital.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. The seconder, Councillor Teahan. Councillor Holcomb, you propose a motion. Do you want to speak to the motion?
No further comment. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Teahan. Do you want to speak to the motion?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Any other councillors like to speak for or against? In that case, I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Motion is carried. And breathe easy, Ms. Williams. So 18.3.2, the community grants policy, which is also responsible officer is GM Business and Performance, Ms. Julie Williams. Councillors, any questions, Ms. Williams? Councillor Holcomb.
Sorry, Ms. Williams. Can you just give a bit of background? This is a new policy, isn't it? From what I can gather. We sort of get rid of one policy and we replace it with another, which is interesting in itself. But what's the thinking behind this? You're on mute. Good.
Yeah, Julian, you're on mute.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. At the moment, we have an administration of grants policy, and that administration of grants policy covers 3 areas. It covers grants that council provides to the community. It covers grants that council applies for, and it also covers the administration back office management of the grants. So it's a fairly detailed policy. And the objective of splitting out the community grants policy is to make sure that for our community that we have a very clear policy statement around how council looks at providing funds to the community through grants. It also has provided the opportunity to improve our documentation and policy position around conflict of interests. There was a VAGA report published a year ago or so, and that found that a lot of the councils, including ourselves, had insufficient focus around conflict of interest in our grant activities. So this strengthens conflict of interest and fraud and corruption around our giving of grants to the community. We will update, if this is endorsed today, we will update the administration of grants policy to streamline that for just grants that we apply for, council applies for, and back office administration.
So this will come into play with our, for example, our community grants for outlying areas, for example.
That's correct. So we're in the process of the outlying community grant funds and assessing those. So this policy is very timely in terms of management of fraud and corruption and the processes of evaluation, et cetera, around that, giving up those grants.
Okay, thank you.
Any other councillors have questions for Ms. Williams? In that case, there is a recommendation put before council. Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The council endorsed the community grants policy 2023.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. Any seconder? Councillor Tehan. Councillor Holcomb, would you like to speak to the motion?
No further comment, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Tehan. Any
No,
other
thanks.
councillors? In that case, I put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Thanks, Ms. Williams. And next is 18.3.3, the risk management policy. The responsible officer is the interim coordinator, governance and risk, Jane Carter. So call Jane back. Hello, Jane, back again.
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any councillors have any questions for Jane, Ms. Carter, on this agenda item? In that case, there is a recommendation on this agenda item. Councillors, Councillor Webb.
Motion being that council adopt the risk management policy.
Thanks, Councillor Webb. Seconder, councillors. Councillor Holcomb. Councillor Webb, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And Councillor Holcomb.
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any other councillors? So I'll put this motion to a vote. All those in favour? And the motion is carried. Thanks, Ms. Carter.
Thank you.
I think that's it for you tonight. Oh no, we've got one more, have we?
Yes.
Yeah, over the page here. So council appointed representation on committees, 18.3.4, responsible officer Jane Carter. Right. Councillors. I have before me nominations for audit and risk committees, being the Mayor, Councillor Raby, and I believe Councillor Holcomb wanted to stay on that committee. Is that correct? Okay. Councillor Holcomb?
Yeah.
So there's a recommendation. We need to have a vote on that. Or someone to move it. Councillor Tehan, I saw you first.
Yeah, I'll move that council nominates the following councillors to the Mansfield Shire Audit and Risk Committee: Councillor Raby and Councillor Holcomb.
Thank you. And I think Councillor Webb, you had your hand up yet. Okay. Anyone want to speak to or against that? I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that is carried. Chief Executive Officer Employment Matters Committee. I don't believe there is going to be any changes in that committee. But have we got a recommendation motion to that committee? Councillor Holcomb.
The council nominates the following councillors to the CEO Officer Employment Matters Committee: Mayor, Councillor Raby, Councillor Holcomb, and Councillor Tehan.
Thank you. And a seconder for that motion, please. Councillor Webb. And all those in favour of the motion. And that motion is carried. The Australia Day Awards Committee. For me, I have no change in last year. So has anybody got a recommendation? Councillor Tehan.
The council nominates Mayor, Councillor Raby and Councillors Holcomb and Tehan to the Australia Day Awards Committee.
Thank you. Have I got a seconder for that? Councillor Holcomb. And I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That motion is carried. The Goulburn Murray Climate Alliance, I have before me, Councillor Webb wanted to remain on that committee. Have I got a motion? Councillor Holcomb.
Council nominates Councillor Webb to the Goulburn Murray Climate Alliance.
Thank you. And a seconder, Councillor Tehan. And could I have a vote on that motion, please? All those in favour? And that motion is carried. Recommendation for Hume Regional Local Government Network, which is yours truly. It has to be on that committee. So can I have a motion, please? Councillor Webb.
Motion that council nominates Mayor Councillor Steve Raby to the Hume Regional Local Government Network.
Thank you. And a seconder, please. Councillor Holcomb. And a vote. All those in favour of that motion, please. The motion is carried. The Municipal Association of Victoria, which will be the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor, as always. Can I have a motion, please, Councillor Webb?
That council appoints Mayor Councillor Steve Raby to the Municipal Association of Victoria and appoints Deputy Mayor Councillor Holcomb as substitute council representative to the MAV.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Holcomb. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Rural Councils of Victoria. The Mayor is automatically on that committee, and I have a request from Councillor Tehan to remain on that committee from last year. So could I have a motion, please, Councillor Holcomb?
Council nominates Mayor Raby or Councillor Tehan to Rural Councils Victoria.
Thank you. And a seconder, Councillor Webb, and we will vote on that motion. All those in favour? Thank you. That motion is carried. So that finishes our committees. Thanks very much, Ms. Carter, for coming in tonight. I think that's it for you. Appreciate your attendance. 18.4 Executive Services Directorate, 18.4.1 Schedule of Meetings, December 2023 to November 2024. The responsible officer is our Chief Executive Officer, Kirsten Alexander. Any questions for our CEO, councillors? Yes, Councillor Holcomb.
Madam CEO, just with respect to the location and the hybrids, are we extremely confident that's going to work?
Yes, sorry, yes, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I should say. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we have done an initial trial. We are getting some new equipment, and we will be trialling it, as I understand it, later this month. But it's based on equipment that's already been used in the Mansfield Shire. So yeah, all going well, including deliveries of the new audio equipment that we have procured. We should be trialling it this month with a view to having I guess a bit of a dry run in January, and then yeah, we will have it in place for the February meeting so that we can have people either coming into the council chamber or joining us online.
And is the same flexibility left there for councillors? So for councillors to be online or in the chamber, so we can have, for example, 3 in the chamber and 2 online, that will still work?
That's correct.
With great confidence. With great confidence.
Yep, very confident.
Okay.
as confident as I can be with online meetings, but yeah, no, we'll definitely make sure we trial it and have it running well before we expose the public to it.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Tia?
Just a query in regards to the June meeting being on the 25th, Madam CEO, which is a week before the July briefing. Is there any reason why that one's scheduled there? I realise we do have a long weekend on the 3rd, but this is, yeah, the 4th would be normally a briefing day.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, historically, we have had that meeting a little bit later. It does, for a couple of reasons. One, in terms of, finalisation of the budget, it allows a bit of extra time if needed, in terms of getting all the papers and the consultation results and everything together. Also because of the Australian, the ALGA event, should any councillors be interested in attending that event, that, as I understand it, would be a clash. So that's the reason that one has traditionally been a week later.
Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? Comments? In that case, there's a recommendation before us. Councillor Webb.
Motion being that council adopt the proposed meeting schedule for Mansfield Shire Council from December 2023 to November 2024.
Thank you. And a seconder, Councillor Holcomb. Councillor Webb, do you want to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Holcomb.
No, thanks, Chair.
I'll put the motion to vote. All those in favour of the motion. Motion is carried. What possibly could go wrong with the Zoom meeting? Council meeting resolution actions status register, which is item 19, and there's a motion before us here. Councillor Holcomb.
The council receive and note the Mansfield Shire Council meeting resolution actions status register as at 21st of November 2023.
Thank you. Councillor Webb. And I'd like to put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? And the motion is carried. We have item 20, advisory and special committee reports. I believe there's nil. Item 21, authorisation, sealing of documents, and there's nil there. Item 22 is the closure of meeting to members of the public so that we can move into a confidential meeting. We will be back after this. And Councillor Webb.
Motion that council closes the meeting to members of the public under section 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider confidential reports in accordance with section 66(2) of the Local Government Act 2020 for reasons set out in section 23 below.
Thanks, Councillor Webb. Seconder to the motion, please. Councillor Holcomb. And I'll put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? That motion is carried. People watching us tonight, we will be back. We'll be going out to a breakout room to consider these confidential items, and we will be back. Thanks very much. Just, Ms. Crane, if you could come back, please. Oh, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Again, that's the close of our confidential meeting. There was a motion passed that we awarded a lump sum contract for the Goolies Bridge barrier replacement to Waratah Constructions Proprietary Limited for $294,320 to provide steel sides to the bridge for safety reasons. There's also an additional amount awarded of $41,741 for the traffic management required to undertake that work, and construction contingent that will all be made public as part of the notes tonight, our agenda tonight, minutes. I'd like to thank you all for attending our November meeting and my first meeting as your new mayor. Look forward to working with everyone in the Mansfield Shire, as I said, to make this a best little shire. And I thank all my councillors and the staff of Mansfield Shire who we rely on to get all these jobs done. I'm hoping to work very well and closely with you as well. So thanks everybody out there. And that's the end of our meeting tonight. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Night.